In today's video, I'm sharing my process for 9 wintry botanical illustrations to fill your sketchbook. Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Shayda, and on this channel we get artsy and creative together, and today is no different. We're going to work through some botanical illustrations. We're working in marker today. I've been doing a lot more marker drawings lately, and I think it seems like you're liking it too. And these illustrations have kind of a winter holiday slant, all those seasonal plants like pine and poinsettias and all that stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun. This is also a great way to fill your journal or sketchbook and just to practice your drawing. Before we start, I'd like to thank Nordgreen for sponsoring our video today. You've probably seen in many a video my timeless watch. This is from Nordgreen. They are a Scandinavian, Danish-owned watch brand, and I'm lucky enough to have a couple of their watches now, and I just love them. They're really minimal, thin, classic, timeless are adjectives I would use, and that's kind of my wardrobe look, I hope. I try. And today I'm really excited because I have a 35% off code for you. So it's great if you're doing some Black Friday shopping. The code is good from now through to December 1st. So you can get a watch for yourself and do some Christmas shopping. And then after the 1st, it's actually still 15%, but 35 is the biggest sale they've ever done, and I'll definitely be doing some ordering. I'll tell you a little bit more about this beautiful ethical Scandi brand in a few moments, but for now, let's get into our sketchbook. All right, today I'm using my journal from Hadron Epoch. It's kind of my art journal, and I have my brush markers from Faber-Castell. I have a few Tombow and Koi brush pens mixed in there, and we're gonna start with pine. So I'm working in a light brown, and we're just going to do some kind of messy stems, maybe put some tiny little branches poking off there. Then with a different color, like a light green, I'm going to come in and add these really quick, like brush strokes. Yes, I'm using a marker, but I'm still going to call them brush strokes, and we're going to do the same thing with a slightly darker color. So if you have 2 greens, you can use that, or 2 blues. I'm not going to get really color specific today because you can use whatever you have on hand. You can see here I've layered 2 greens and 2 browns, but you could do this with any number of marker colors. So there is kind of our messy wintry pine. Next up, we're going to do a really simple leaf design. This is just to kind of get warmed up and also to show you that anything can be made a little bit wintry based on the color palette. So I, of course, am using my warm gray, and we're just going to do a thin line for that branch, and then we're going to do some more lines to form these leaves. You can see how I run the brush marker across the page, and it gives me a really nice natural organic shape. And the Faber-Castells are technically brush markers, but something like the Tombow and Koi that has a real brush tip, it's going to work even better for this style of illustration. As you work through your doodle, think about adding a different color and leaves of different sizes and shapes. They work together to create a really pretty illustration. Next, we're going to do a winter berry, something like a rosehip that you would see dried and still really colorful on a winter trail. So I'm using a cool cherry red to draw 3 circles, or more like ovals, and I leave a little highlight in the right corner, upper corner. Then with a brown, you could use blue or black or gray. I am adding kind of like this little burst of lines at the top of each. And then of course I join them all with some stems and branches, and if you like, you can add a few tiny oval-shaped leaves. Just finishes it off really nicely, and that is our winter berry. Let's chat watches for a moment. If, like a lot of people, you're buying less these days, you're probably trying to buy more timeless classic pieces, and I think Nordgreen fits into that beautifully. Not only do they have really sustainable packaging and an ethical Danish-run factory in Denmark, but the designs are just beautiful and Scandi and minimal, all my favorite stuff. I have 2 Nordgreen watches now. Both are the native design, and both I was able to order with an extra strap, so you can kind of have fun choosing between the different metals and links and leathers or vegan leathers. They've got a lot of options, and the strap is really easy to interchange. And for Black Friday this year, they are doing their largest sale. Save 35% on your purchase using code Shayda35. For this next illustration, I'm doodling these little berries. I've used a dark purple to just draw a random cluster. Some could be touching, some could kind of be outliers. I'm also going to use a dark blue, and I kind of make some of the berries a little smaller and some a bit larger. And then of course, using a dark brown, I'm joining all these tiny little guys together with some really delicate stems. You kind of want to move the markers so that the stems are a little bit crooked and wobbly, and it just looks really organic. You can also add a few extra little twigs or even leaves to this one, and that's it. Now we're going to draw a white flower together. I just love incorporating winter whites into my botanical illustrations. So I start with the stamen, and you can see it's just a cluster of dots, and I've done it in kind of a honey brown. Then, because we're illustrating a white flower, I'm going to use my light warm gray. You could also use an ivory marker, and we're going to surround those dots, the stamen, with these tiny curving lines that sort of form a broken circle. So they're very tightly clustered little curving lines. Then to finish our flower, which is kind of like a gardenia or rose, we're going to draw 4 or 5 larger petals surrounding and touching those inner lines. With that done, we're going to make that white flower pop off the page by surrounding it with dark green leaves. Of course, they don't have to be dark green. Any color like dark blue or a warm green would look really pretty. Next up, I want to share what I would use for kind of a wintry garland, and it's something you could use on a Christmas card border, something like that. So I start by doing a green leaf that's very similar to the gray one we did, with the branch in the middle and pairs of leaves, and then you kind of just add a twin darker leaf design right on top, and it gives this really nice full winter garland look. You could add some little berries to that, and it would be really cute. Speaking of berries, let's draw something of like a loose holly or mistletoe. I am using a brush marker to do these delicate stems and then like sort of medium-sized green leaves. It's a nice warm green. And then I come in with that darker green as well, and we're going to add just a couple more leaves to give this a really nice natural flow and look. Then I'll add some tiny stems and some tiny little red berries. A magenta would also look really nice for this, and just little clusters. It's delicate and pretty and super Christmassy. For my illustrated pine cones, I think I'm going to show you the easiest way to doodle pine cones. So start with 2 brown circles or ovals. Mine are kind of a cluster of little ovals there. And then using a black fine liner, I'm using the Mistletoe black liner, we're going to just add these little scalloped lines, and it's just the simplest, cutest little almost cartoony pine cone. And then I'm going to use dark blue, but of course you could use dark green. Remember, with botanicals, you can always switch up the colors. It'll still be recognizable as a pine tree and pine cones. And I am just doing these very simplified pine boughs. So 1 line for the center branch, and then these tiny oval pairs of leaves to give the look of pine needles, but in a very cutesy way. For our final illustration, I think we have to include a poinsettia, so I'm going to do another simplified illustration. I start with a cluster of dots, just like I did for the white flower, except this time I've layered 2 colors, a yellow and a darker brown. And then the poinsettia has many petals, but I'm just going to do 6 pointed petals. So you want to capture some of the key features of the flower, and for the poinsettia, it's kind of those pointed leaves and petals. And of course, I'll add a few of the leaves in there as well, kind of just wherever it looks good, add a few and some delicate stems. And that's my simplified red but kind of magenta poinsettia. Well, that's it for today. I hope you've got some wintry botanical ideas that will help you fill your sketchbook, your journal, or make some pretty Christmas cards this year. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button for more content like this, and head over to the Nordgreen website to check out their beautiful Scandi watches and use code Shayda35 to get 35% off your order until December 1st.